Call the meeting to order. Our building director, Mohammed Soba, will lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Musket.
I'd like to have a minute here. This past weekend, we lost our state representative, our friend, and a great lady, Representative Julie Plawecki. I'd like a moment of silence in her honor.
Yes, it was a terrible loss to, she's a mother, a former teacher, wife. So if we could all have just a moment of silence for Julie Plawecki.
One more
Go
thing
right
I'd like
ahead.
to mention. You know, not only did the Plawecki family lose a great lady, this city lost just a beautiful, wholesome person that it came as a complete shock, and my condolences to the family and to the community, because we've all lost. God rest her soul.
Thank you, Councilman Berry. A moment of silence. Thank you, everyone. Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Thomas Berry.
Here.
Robert Constant.
Here.
Lisa Hicks Clayton.
Here.
Margaret Horvath.
Here.
Joseph Kaczynski.
Here.
Ray Muscat.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton.
I move to approve the order of business June 28th, 2016, regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 14th meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
I move the council approve the minutes of the formal meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council of June 14th as presented.
Second.
Second by Councilman Abdullah. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is item 6, fund transfers and current claims.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Berry.
move City Council approve current claims 6-1 through 635.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion or questions?
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Musket.
I've got a question on 6-2. I'm looking at this and I'm seeing sidewalks and driveways. Isn't that the homeowner's responsibility on that, or how does that work if it's, because I also see a church parking lot in there.
We had to dig it out to repair the pipes.
These are all water main related repairs.
Even in a church parking lot,
Sidewalks,
it would be?
church parking lots could happen. We have some.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I knew that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is from Mayor Paletko, the 2016-2017 major and local streets budget.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Berry.
move City Council concur with Mr. Dan Paletko and adopt the major and local street budget for the fiscal year of 2016 through 2017.
Second.
Second by Councilman Musket. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, also from Mayor Paletko, contract extension for the Dearborn Heights Police Supervisors, firefighters, and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton.
I move to approve and extend the agreements between the City of Dearborn Heights, the Dearborn Heights Police Supervisors, the City of Dearborn Heights, and International Association Firefighters Local 1355, and City of Dearborn Heights and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees Local 290, Council 25 as submitted.
Support.
Support by Councilman Berry. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'll let.
It shouldn't be the new TPOAM.
That was going to be my question.
Oh, okay, so it's the agreement. Okay.
It's the
Yeah,
old.
we just wanted
Extending the
to,
old.
yeah, because that's who it was an AFSCME agreement that they negotiated, and we don't know what the new name is, and we don't really have an agreement with them.
Okay, no, good point.
Makes
Any
sense.
further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, also from Mayor Dan Plecko, appointment to the Planning Commission.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Berry.
is this a receive, note, and file? Because you don't need our approval, correct?
Yes.
Move City Council receive, note, and file the appointment of Ali Bazzi from Rochelle Street in Dearborn Heights to the Planning Commission and his terms to expire in May of 2019.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda from Administrative Assistant Laszlo, agreement with AMCOM for fiber optic network build-out.
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Berry.
Move City Council concur with the agreement with RMS Associates and enter into an agreement with AMCOM for the amount of $123,000 to be paid on or before September 15th, 2016, upon successful review by corporate counsel to not replace, but install a fiber optic network.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Lee Six Clayton. Any discussion?
Chair,
Councilman Musket.
as I'm reading through this, it says, bid is based on existing pathways discussed during building walkthrough. Any directional boring or trenching or digging will require a change order. Now, have they actually seen all of this stuff? Do they know if they're going to have to do any boring? Because it seems to me that that should have already been known, and that shouldn't even be in there.
Even on a walkthrough? I mean, if they walk through it,
Well, they would know if we're going to have to bore over here or drill a hole here. I mean, that's common practice. You should know what you have to move or do when you
well,
see
that's for
something.
any additional. Those are unexpected events, and
I would think that they should know that.
I don't
Yeah,
know
but-
if you can.
Councilwoman
Mr. Chairman.
Horvath.
In my opinion, the change orders come when they run into something that they didn't see or they didn't expect, or,
I just don't, I understand, I just don't want somebody to come back, you owe us another
Those are
$100,000 because we had to.
unexpected things that you run into.
Well-
We get change orders all the time.
exactly, yeah.
And this,
I mean, my question is, how are we going to know? I mean, if they did all this, then they come in and they start working, and they give us a change order, are you going to go out and look at the wall or look in the
Yeah, I would like to go look at the wall, yeah, 'cause
Well-
that's what I would do. If
I
I
don't
was a
thi-
boss, that's what I'd want to go
I don't
do.
think it's,
Can you get the microphone?
It's unexpected.
I understand it, but I just don't want to have some huge change order come through because we had to bore 1.5 miles underground to run a fiber optic cable from one building to another building.
We already have it existing.
That's what, I just want to make sure, that's what I'm looking at. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please
Aye.
state aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, also from Administrative Assistant Christine Laszlo, renewal agreement with the Michigan Humane Society.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Lisa X. Clayton.
I move to concur and approve the renewal agreement between the City of Dearborn Heights and Michigan Humane Society for housing and care of Dearborn Heights domestic animals. Corporate counsel has reviewed this agreement or is currently reviewing it.
We basically are in a position right now where we have the language, they just didn't send over the new agreement. They had to make a change to paragraph 4.05. So once we get that new language, then I can send it over to the city clerk.
So the motion should read with approval upon your final review and submit.
And any changes.
Any changes?
I think that it really
Right,
should
very
say
good.
not just successful review and any necessary changes.
As outlined in 9B then.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Kozinski. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Councilwoman Lee Six
Just
Clayton.
a quick question. I know that this agreement is for sheltering of animals, but I had a question about including service agreement, because like with the low-cost vaccination clinic, which I know you just had a real successful one this past weekend, is that something that's written into it, or is that a separate service agreement? That's separate. That's separate. All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, also from Administrative Assistant Laszlo, requests for qualifications for title searches and title insurance services.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Berry.
I move the city council concur with the mayor and have the city of Dearborn Heights advertise for quotes for title searches and for title insurance services as outlined in 9C.
Second.
Second by Councilman Musket. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda from City Clerk Walter Pershevich, a Class C liquor license application for Nicholas Getsaris, tabled at the prior meeting of June 14th, 2016.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilwoman Clayton.
Move to approve the application for the Class C liquor, I'm sorry, that's a C liquor license, yes, Class C liquor license for Nicholas Gasteris as submitted in 9D.
Second by Councilman Musket. And I understand that the taxes have been paid, and the applicant is here, and so
Mr.
is
Chair.
his attorney, Mr. Anthony Guerrero.
Mr. Chairman, it would actually be to approve the resolution that is attached and authorize appropriate signatures.
The city council resolution.
Yeah, that's what's attached
All
right
right.
here, so yeah, that's,
So move that motion.
Okay.
And I hate to nitpick, but I think you need to remove it from the table first.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, because it was tabled. It's got to come back. So you want to amend your motion to bring it back?
I can amend the motion to bring it back.
And the support is?
Second.
So all those in favor of the amended motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Make that motion now.
Motion again?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I
Approve it.
can. So we're making a motion to approve the
Resolution.
resolution for the Class C license for Nicholas Gasteris as submitted in 13B.
Second.
Second by Councilman Musket. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it.
It'd be nice to have somebody in that building, so we're looking forward to it being occupied and functioning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda from Comptroller Vince McCary, miscellaneous budget amendments.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Berry.
move city council concur with Comptroller McCary and approve the budget amendments outlined in 9E.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda from Treasurer John Riley, Act 99, financing for new fire equipment.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Berry.
move city council approve the attached resolution authorizing installment purchase drafted by Miller Canfield for approving the terms and conditions of the low bid for Comerica Park for the purchase of 2 new ambulances.
Support.
As outlined in 9F.
Sorry, yes, support.
Support by Councilwoman Lee Six Clayton. Any discussion? And we
Mr.
had
Chairman?
a presentation prior to the meeting. Councilman Kozinski?
Would it be appropriate to indicate the amount that we heard from the presenter, because the document doesn't seem to show that exact amount?
If you'd like, but I did mention that it's outlined in 9F,
358, 132.
so it's 358,132.
132.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Thank you.
Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda from Human Resources Director Sabota Perry, agreement with NIRT for interim GASB 45 report.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Clayton.
I move to approve the contractual service agreement between the City of Dearborn Heights and Nyhart Company for interim GASB 45 report as outlined in 9G.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, the wording interim report caught my attention. Apparently, there's been one process already completed with regard to this issue, and this apparently is a reevaluation of the retiree health care issues.
Director Perry, is that correct? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda from Court Administrator Atkins, contract extension for 20th District Court and Police Officers Association of Michigan.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath?
I move that we agree with Court Administrator Michelle Atkins and approve the extend the agreement between the collective bargaining unit of the 20th District Court in Dearborn Heights and the Police Officers Association of Michigan as outlined in 9H.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Berry.
is this a time-specific extension, or is it day-to-day?
Day-to-day.
We have the Court Administrator here.
Day-to-day. Should we note that in the extension here?
Probably.
It's included, it's in the letter.
Is it in the back?
Yeah.
I was just testing you, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Berry.
passed.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda from Library Director Mike McCafferty, carpet for the Library Youth Program Room.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Clayton.
move to concur with Michael McCaffrey, Director, Dearborn Heights City Libraries, and approve the payment of $2,555.91 to Home Depot for carpet to be installed in the youth program room, replaced in the future as outlined in the 9I. It says it need to be replaced.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda from Police Chief Brogan.
Fire Chief.
Fire Chief Brogan.
Get a new job.
That's the second time I've done that. Michigan Public Safety Communication System subscription fee.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Berry.
move City Council concur with Chief Brogan and authorize the payment of $16,100 to the Michigan Public Safety Commission to be paid from contractual services. This fee is to activate new radios and to cover the subscription fee with the MPSCS for our radios.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, also from Fire Chief David Brogan, budget transfer.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
I have a question. Can we take 9K, L, and M,
I think so.
or do we have to separate them because of the amounts?
I can do them together.
I think we can do them
Vince,
all.
any
Well, I don't see why.
I'm pretty sure we can.
okay?
Okay, I move that the council approve the transfer of $6,000, $5,800, and $2,800 from motor fuel to various other accounts as outlined in 9K, L, and M.
Support.
Support by Councilman Berry. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda from City Clerk Walter Pershevitz, budget adjustment.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
move council concur with the request of City Clerk Walter Pershevich for the budget adjustment in the amount of $7,300, adjusting revenue and expense accounts accordingly for the purpose of balancing year-end account balances.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Clayton. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda from Public Service Administrator Bill Zimmer, HVAC service agreement with Johnson Controls.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Berry.
move City Council concur with William Zimmer and approve the service agreement with Johnson Controls as outlined in 9O.
Support.
Support by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion?
Yes,
Councilman
there's an indication
Kozinski.
that this is a one-year extension.
Yes. Excuse me, and authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the city and the clerk, I believe, correct?
Yep, that's fine.
The support's okay with that addition? Any discussion? Councilman Musket.
Does this service agreement covers labor or labor and parts, or what does it cover for $22,000?
It does cover all labor. There are some parts that it doesn't cover.
Obviously,
They
yeah.
call disposables or whatever they
Yes.
call it. But City Hall is the full service agreement. The rest of the buildings are basically just the basics, but it will cover the time for those repairs as
Okay,
well.
thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, also from Public Service Administrator Bill Zimmer, emergency mower replacement.
Chairman,
Councilwoman Clayton.
move to concur with Public Service Administrator William Zimmer and approve the purchase of one Hustler Super 2 mower at state contract pricing of $9,139.90, payment upon receipt, to be purchased from Munn Tractor and Lawn, as outlined in 9P.
Support.
Second,
Support by Councilman Berry. Discussion, Councilman
Mr. Chair?
Kozinski.
Chairman.
Go ahead.
Councilman Abdallah, go ahead. I want to hear your voice.
Sure. Okay. What I was curious with this, did we have any type of insurance on this with that type of an amount? I mean, we're talking about a $9,000 lawnmower, and with the fact that it got burned by fire.
We are going to try to submit a claim for it. The machine is 12 years old, so I'm hoping to get anything we can.
Yeah, and we're self-insured when you get to these limits.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Kozinski.
Purchase is certainly indicated as approved in the resolution, but there's also a suggestion here to transfer funds in the amount of
You are
$9,199.
correct.
Would that be included in the same motion?
We can amend the motion to include the transfer of the 9,000, I had it highlighted, I'm sorry, 139.90 to be transferred from account 101-44820 to, looks like to capital outlay to cover the cost of the mower. So outlined in 9P would cover that, I would assume, but we can amend the motion.
Great.
I still support it, the amendment and the purchase.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, 13A, business license renewals for Cherry Hill Lanes. The private John Laskow VFW.
So moved.
Councilman Kozinski.
Move to approve the licensing authorized for renewal under 13A, namely the Cherry Hill Lanes and also the Wascava VFW Post.
Is there support? Support by Councilman Berry. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chair?
Councilman Berry.
Before we make a motion on 13B, can we have a discussion on this?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. I found something to be very disturbing, and I think we all see it more and more, not necessarily in the city of Dearborn Heights, but when you go outside the city of Dearborn Heights. I see more and more panhandlers out on the corners now. There are people that actually have their children out in the middle of the street panhandling for money. You go down Ford Road by the Wendy's there. Ford Road by Wyoming. It's just everywhere anymore, and it's almost become an epidemic. They're working different shifts, and they're taking their children, and they're putting their children out there. I guess school is out, so that, might as well bring the kids out, but it's really become a sad state. And I certainly hope that we don't get into, or I don't even know if we have an ordinance on the books that prevent panhandlers.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilwoman Horvath?
Add to
Speak to
that.
that mic. I can't hear you. Tell them what you think.
I'm glad to see you're back anyway.
Thank you.
I got a call from Councilwoman Hicks Clayton regarding this, so I did a lot of research. Number one, if we deny them, they will take us to court. I went on social media today, and I recorded the Roseville council meeting, this part of it, okay?
Watch the,
I watched, and I recorded it.
oh,
And they are a 501c3. Do I think that they're the Knights of Columbus or the Kiwanis Club? No. What they do is they pay, you can sign up and go work a corner for them and get paid for it. And their thought is, if I'm homeless, I can go on the corner and solicit, and I get paid, and they're training me how to do this on the corner. They actually have a training session on how to solicitate money on the corners, be careful, this, that, and the other thing. They're statewide. They're in Berkeley, Clawson, Bay City, all over. They're all over. Now, what they did in Roseville was they asked for 4 days in Roseville. So they cut it down to 2, and then they talked about it for a minute, and then they gave them 3 days because they said they just don't give 4 days to anybody. They just don't recall any other charity. So they had their attorney there. Their biggest complaint, and I talked to the chief earlier too, is that they put cones out in the street.
They're impeding traffic.
Yes, and we would have to tell them they can't do that. And the problem with this request is, it's this weekend, or
yeah, it just came in.
This is, here's my question, and I apologize for interrupting you, but here's my question. Okay, they may be a 501c3, and I'm looking at both sides here. We don't deny the Kiwanis, we don't deny other organizations, but we know where those funds go. We have proof where those funds go. This
Doesn't tell me anything.
doesn't tell me where those funds go, although they may say that, we help homeless with food, clothing, shelter, and job training. They can say anything they want on here and make this an issue of urgency because of the date.
I understand.
And we haven't had an opportunity to learn anything about it. So for me, I'd like to take this to a study session and invite them in, and they can tell us what they
Get
do
us some
before
further
we allow them.
information. And did they
We're
have-
not denying them, we're just asking for more information.
Did they have I think they had an ACLU attorney there, not their attorney.
Well,
That's
the
okay.
gal's name, she's a civil rights attorney. She didn't say ACLU, but she is a civil rights attorney. Name was Julie Hurwitz, and she's with Goodwin and Horowitz, and they're on Jefferson, downtown Detroit. It was quite a long, if anybody wants to go on and look at it, it's about 45 minutes. It was very interesting. I'm not comfortable with them at all. I'm all for, charity, but one of the ladies that was up there that works there, her husband is president, started out making $4 an hour, and all of a sudden she's at $15 an hour, and that's coming out of the money that you put in their little you know.
Yeah, and I think they could sue
that's really
maybe
not a charity.
to get
Well, they are.
access to
If you go
solicit, but
online-
not for money damages
Well,
or
if
anything.
you go online, they do good. They hand out food stamps or food cards, and they try to help people find jobs. They have a whole list of things that they do good, but the basic money that I caught was to get paid, for the workers
administrative.
to get paid. Now, online, there was a home that they couple homes that they renovated with these workers that, you know, that they're training to get other jobs. They do take care of the homeless, according to them, and a number of homeless veterans. And see, that's the part that gets your heart. I mean, I'm going, a homeless veteran, oh my God, who doesn't want to? But then when you see the background of it, it's
Yeah, or
scary.
how much money actually goes to the Councilwoman Lisa Clayton.
Thank you. I did quite a bit of research, and certainly I'm supportive of charities as well and charitable work. But after further exploration, I think that's what's needed here, and I agree with Councilman Berry, to table this to study session so we have the opportunity to do so. Because after talking to other municipalities, there was concern, there were multiple complaints and things like that. And I think it would be prudent of us, in the best interest of our community, to do due diligence and investigate this further. Absolutely. And as far as what they pay, it's $360 a day paid to those in the street soliciting. $360 a day is what was on the video, because I saw that video on Facebook, on social media as well.
$3.60 a day.
So they're paying their volunteers, so I guess it's not technically volunteers then, but hopefully that provides them with some revenue. Maybe that's the thinking. But I think it definitely warrants and would be prudent of us to take it to a study session, like I said, due diligence to investigate this more and how it impacts our community.
Are we sure they're a 501c3?
Yes, they are, yes. I checked that out, but I think, now, I don't know, but it's it's not $3.60. They pay them enough money per week to be able to eventually find someplace to live, help them look for another job. It's a salary. It's a hourly wage, and it's in the $300 mark from what I could see.
You know,
So
here's,
Gary.
I'm sorry, Mr. Abdullah.
Councilman Abdullah?
I just want to point out, the only thing we got to be careful with, I know they had a similar situation in Birmingham, I believe it was, and I seen that on the news a little while back, and they try to get rid of the panhandlers, and I'm not even sure if this is what these guys are specifically, but I know that they had a hard time with it because of the freedom of speech. I mean, the panhandlers fought it based on freedom of speech. And I'm not an attorney, this is where you and Gary can shine in, but this is just something to keep in mind.
They're soliciting, they're not, but Councilor Miyake?
Wait, before you comment on that, I have another one, and I apologize. You look at the roads that they're asking to be on, you're talking about 7-lane highways here. Ford Road and Telegraph, Ford Road and Beach Daily. That's got to be one of the busiest intersections in the city. You know, if push comes to shove, I would tell you, allow them, but not at those intersections, because now we also have the responsibility of caring for the people that drive on our roads. These people, there was one that was sitting in the middle of the highway, 2-lane highway, as you come off of 94, he was propped in the middle, panhandling. And it was like 8 o'clock at night and you can't see this guy. No, this is too dangerous. I think we're doing a disservice to our residents by putting these people out in these locations.
Well, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
It's funny you should say that, because one of the questions or one of the concerns that the Roseville group had was 696 in Gratiot. Now, I pass that a lot because my daughter lives out that way. I'd have to be
That's crazy.
ready to 6 feet under to go on 696 in Gratiot and solicit. I mean, that is for money. for our charity.
Even Van Born and Telegraph, and they've got it listed twice.
But I talked to the chief, and they were here. They did come in last year or the year before, and the problem that we had was, number one, apparently they didn't get a permit, and these cones that they put out, and I think the police department got them out of here.
Yeah, they were at Ford Road and Beach daily, and they had their orange pylons out there, and they were obstructing the flow of traffic. They themselves were in the through lanes, so it created a hazard.
They didn't identify their 501c3 ID number, though. That's the problem. They won't give us that.
If I
Who
might,
asked for it?
I did.
I did too.
And they won't give
number,
it.
but I don't have anything else.
They say they are, but they won't give that
Gary
ID
and
number.
then the mayor.
well, I just want, it'll dovetail into what he's going to say. Administratively, they're requesting June 29th through 7/1. They're going to be here tomorrow. So what do we do
That was my next
administratively?
question.
So, Counselor?
Well, first of all, I think we need to take a look at what the law is at this point. There's a 2013 U.S. Court of Appeals decision that essentially said that panhandling or begging had certain levels of free speech protection, all right? So it's not something that you can end up, so to speak, prohibiting outright. And as if you may recall, there was a begging ordinance that the cities had for years. The ACLU of Michigan ended up sending a letter to me saying, and a whole bunch of other city attorneys, essentially saying, look, your begging ordinances are all bad, you need to get rid of them. I came to this body and said, look, it needs to be a time, place, manner restriction with regard to this. Namely, it's not content-based. And if someone is on a business owner's property, and that property, that there's a presumption that they're not given permission to beg. If they rebut that, then they won't be found guilty. But at the same time, it takes into account the fact that there is this decision from the U.S. Court of Appeals, and recognize that the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit is essentially one step down from the United States Supreme Court. What it decides is binding throughout this state, state of Ohio, the state of Kentucky, and Tennessee. So essentially, unless the U.S. Supreme Court overturns that decision, or unless the Sixth Circuit sets aside that decision, that is the law of the land as it applies now. Let me continue, though.
Okay.
All right. I think one of the questions here should be is if there's a representative here with respect to this particular matter. If there is, then you could end up asking that question. If there is not, then at that point you wouldn't be able to ask any questions. I don't know if there is such a representative.
I don't believe there is.
Right. So now we have issues, and I think the focus of anything or any decision that you make should not be based on the potential content or anything having to do with the idea that maybe this organization is not as good as the Kiwanis or whatever other organization. It should have to do with things that have to do with safety and concerns about safety.
That is
now,
my
the chief
concern.
has ended up raising concerns, and I remember, as a matter of fact, I think the chief and I had actually discussed this, because I was like, what are these people doing out here? And I talked to him, and we weren't enforcing our ordinance that prohibited it. I did not remember them having any sort of approval from this body, and having drafted the ordinance, and I thought in a way that was very fair years ago, I could not understand why this was taking place, and they just basically blew off the ordinance. The idea that they failed to comply with the ordinance previously, the fact that they are basically have ended up doing some things that could end up amounting to traffic hazards unless these things are addressed, these are things that I think are a legitimate basis to end up saying, look, we need to table this and see what's happening. But at this point, making any sort of decision on the basis of the content or whether or not their organization is worthy when they have a 501c3 status, and I'm not sure if they have a Michigan solicitation license through the Attorney General. I believe it's through the Attorney General's office.
To the state of Michigan, yeah.
Then, Mr. Chair?
Well, whether or not they actually submitted that. You don't necessarily have that license just because you're a 501c3 corporation. You normally need to have both things, and as a matter of fact, that's another factor that could end up going into this, to confirm that they're going to do things appropriately because they did not do things appropriately before, and make sure that they end up coming in with respect to that, and make it understandable or make it clear to them that this is not a decision denying, even though they ended up sending a copy of a legal opinion from Bodman PLC, essentially saying that, that essentially this is protected speech, which I was already aware of for some time. But essentially, that is a basis, I think, a legitimate basis for you to potentially end up tabling this matter, and that needs to be communicated immediately to them that it's being tabled and that they should not end up soliciting, if that's what your body
Table or
decides
referred
to do.
for more
Chair.
information.
I
Councilman,
would
Mr.
say
Chair.
you might table it, send it to a study session. I mean, they haven't sent a representative, so it's very difficult to end up making any sort of an assessment of whether or not it's important that they actually do it this particular weekend or not. I mean, let's face it, if the city was having some sort of a parade or something along those lines this weekend, or was otherwise needing to use the space for certain other purposes, for example, maybe if there was a funeral that was taking place or something, there was going to be, a lot of congestion, that would be another basis potentially to end up saying, look, you can't do it this weekend because we've got certain things that are taking place. And you just can't say, we're going to do it at this point. And I sent an email to the person who communicated with the city clerk saying, look, this is our ordinance. You need to comply with the ordinance. It's a valid time, place, manner restriction. It's not based on content of the speech. And if you comply, then you'll be approved. But you need to end up going through this process. And I mean, at this point, it's questionable that you've been given sufficient information to address those prior safety issues and traffic issues to feel comfortable. I understand that, and do recognize, however, that there is a risk that they will end up potentially bringing a claim, and will say that it has to do with the content of their speech, and that you're delaying for purposes that have to do with their content of their speech, and so on and so forth. There is going to be that risk, but at the same time, I think it's legitimate in terms of it being based on a time, place, manner issue.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Barry.
based upon my concern for the safety of both those soliciting and the drivers that exist along these highways in which they're proposing to solicit, and the fact that we don't have a representative from their organization here to answer these questions, I'd like to table this to a study session.
Support.
Second by Councilwoman Lisa Clayton. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
I just want to make one or two more comments. Number one, they're going to be out there at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's their hours, 7 to 7. Secondly, yes, I used Kiwanis as an example, but they did too. The Roseville people alluded to the fact that they were panhandling, and she went on a big, long discussion about panhandling, and it's the First Amendment and this amendment and that amendment, so we can't call it panhandling because they don't. And they did reference Knights of Columbus, Goodfellows, Kiwanis, they did, okay? I just happen to say Kiwanis because I am one. But they did reference Roseville, but those, and their argument was that all of those organizations, their money stays in the community. The Goodfellows is Christmas. The Kiwanis is the local children. The Knights of Columbus is various community activities. But it didn't make any difference. They had their lawyer there, and they're going to do it now.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the point while they have it on. Our real concern right now is the safety.
Oh, I agree.
And some more information.
And just some more information is.
And
Councilor
if
Mackey?
I may, because before you vote, I think it's very important that I say these things. It's very important to focus on the health, safety, welfare issues that are based on time, place, and manner restrictions. The differences between the organizations should not enter into your assessment, other than the idea that these organizations have a history, a track record of doing things appropriately, and that this organization has a track record for doing things inappropriately, and that needs to be addressed prior to the time that this body would potentially end up approving any such license. And I think that that's a very important thing for this body to take into account and to base its decision on. If people end up making a decision, or if you're inclined to make a decision based on they're not a worthy organization, or this is just panhandling as opposed to something that stays in this community, that should not be the basis for your decision.
No, like I had mentioned earlier, we allow the Kiwanis, we allow the Goodfellas, we allow the Lions, but here I have an issue that's based on the safety and well-being of people, both the solicitors and the people driving cars out there. It just doesn't seem to be appropriate and safe.
Well, and again, Councilman, if they end up addressing those things, then perhaps that you would end up changing your position.
It's the basis of which I'm going by right now.
At this time?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
May I make a suggestion?
Councilman Berry?
If the clerk will, I don't know if it would be the clerk's position to put a phone call to this organization and make them aware that this was sent to a study session, and don't send anybody out tomorrow because we will remove them.
Yeah, we need additional information.
Chief?
Yes.
Is that, I mean, we see where they intend on being. Is this something we can address early in the morning if they plan on being there at 7 o'clock?
We will have the traffic bureau check it out in the morning, and if they're at the corner like the past, they'll move them on.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a
Councilwoman
comment.
Horvath?
And I totally agree with everything. However, we're going to have a problem because the only number we have on record is the number on this, I believe.
Well, the chief will move them, and they'll make communication with their supervisors.
That's the office number. And I think that's the only one we have of record. I'm not sure.
I have an email from them. I would prefer to communicate in writing rather than a phone call.
That's fine.
And I will talk to Councilor Miyake concerning the communication.
Perfect.
Great, thank you. That ends the business portion of our meeting. Any announcements from everybody here at the table?
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Musket.
I've been approached by a lot of citizens about the work being done on Ford Road. And what's concerning me is we've got a new ordinance, I believe, that we're doing for used car lots. And we haven't done a first reading or second reading. And I think this is very important because the residents know the problems we have on Van Born with used car lots. They don't want Ford Road to turn like that. I don't either, to be honest with you. I don't think the city wants it. So I think we have to move forward with this ordinance on used car lots, and I don't know what's holding us up.
So the Planning Commission met, and Nick Lamaco was there. He sent it to, it's with Mark Roberts now, is that correct, City Attorney?
Yes, I believe so, although I haven't been involved in it. Perhaps the building department might have more of a notion of what specifically is going on at this point, but that's my understanding.
Because I was following that also, and I think that's where it's at now, is being
Because we don't want to be to the point where everything's going to be done and then it comes before us and it's all said and done, and then we have another mess.
Director Sobe? Thanks for taking the microphone.
There's a big difference between Van Born and Ford Road. Number one, that section on Ford Road, it is
C1.
CX, it's not C1, which is multiple, okay, which means car lots are not allowed. Anything that has to do with cars are not allowed. Anything C2 is not allowed, okay. Van Born is a C3, which includes one of those sections. Now, as far as the ordinance, I did see some write-ups from, came in also, a copy to me. It's going to our attorney, okay, planning consultant and attorney. And I think it's specifying some additional features that are required for a car lot or auto-related.
Okay, so Ford Road, there would be no car lot.
I've been asked that question about, I don't want to exaggerate, about 150 times,
Yeah.
okay? And I said, because the commercial, initially what happened when somebody put a big sign out there says, commercial.
Yeah.
Now, commercial goes all the way from 0 to 100, let me put it this way. And the first thing before, or after the third time, I said, wait a minute, let me get this clear. Commercial does not include anything related to cars.
Okay.
Not even a gas station, or a service, or a car wash, other than the used car.
VIP, yeah.
No, VIP is there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Other than that, they're already there.
No, I mean, what's there is there.
Right.
Okay, but nothing new.
But I've also talked to different owners of those particular properties. Not one person has any plans of something like that.
To go a little bit further, they already have submitted plans that were approved by the Planning Commission, and none of it has any of that stuff in it.
Okay, thank you.
I've talked with almost every owner. Not one of them has ever mentioned anything about a used car lot.
Okay, thank you.
And Gary, or Councilor Miyake, you can get with Mark Roberts to see what the status is of the drafting of that used car ordinance.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, we need that we need to do that sooner than later.
Councilwoman Lisa Clayton.
Two things, if I may, please, Mr. Chairman. The first thing, I was at a meeting for Southeast Michigan Communicators Network, and Great Lakes Water Authority was represented. And I know a little while back we talked about the RAP program and the application, because as part of our lease that we pay to GLWA, the RAP program is included, which is the Water Residential Assistance Program. There's several. This is a really interesting program because it helps people, residents, if they need repair, plumbing, because sometimes if their water bills are expensive, it could be a plumbing issue. So there's up to $1,000 of support for that, as well as paying their water bill if they're unable to. So I just want to check for follow-up purposes to see where we are in that application process. Is there an update regarding the RAP application?
We're meeting with them on July 6th. They just reached out to us. We filled out the survey back in June.
Okay.
We think there was an administrative error on their part, but we're hoping to get it resolved at this meeting.
Okay,
Great.
Well, very good, thank you. And then the last thing I had is I had a resident call me today, and I said I would ask the question. It's that time of year, July 4th coming up with fireworks, and of course we know Public Act 256, we're well familiar with that act. But the question this resident had was about being so dry, and it could be raining right now, I don't know, since we're in here, but being so dry, is there ever consideration or opportunity to, as far as a need to ban fireworks based on how dry it is?
The state law does not provide for
Doesn't
such an
provide for
exception.
that. Okay, I said I would ask, thank you.
Can we, I've seen in the newspaper where other cities are telling their police officers zero tolerance on fireworks. And I think maybe we should go along that. I know our police department does the best they can, but, sometimes, you're in your squad car and you see the big booms and the lights. You drive that way, you might catch them without having to have people call you.
We're looking for zero enforcement. Again, they amended the law this year from midnight to 8 o'clock in the morning. So they can light them off up until midnight. So you cannot light them from midnight to 8. In the past, as you know, we got fireworks going everywhere.
I know.
We try to enforce it. By the time you get out there, confiscate the fireworks, write a violation, take them back to the station, half the night's over. So we do our best, and we have to remember this year, Ramadan will be ending, so we're going to have an abundance of fireworks. They're going to be legal the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. So day before the holiday, and the day after.
Mr. Chairman?
Chief Gavin, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I
Councilwoman
please,
Clayton.
just to elaborate and actually to ask corporate counsel, maybe if you would help us with this. I know I remember our ordinance on the book, which we had talked about not discharging on public property, like street and sidewalks. There must be water over the age of 18, if I'm correct, but you're more of the expert on that, and would you mind commenting on that?
Well, right now, I'm not in a position where I've just reviewed it, so I'm sorry I don't think I have much more to add than what
Okay.
you've added.
And no alcohol beverages, right? Under,
No,
and the
under no
influence to
circumstance.
discharge fireworks. All right, thank you.
Remember last year, a couple of years ago, mother downriver in Lincoln Park, shooting off fireworks, heavier grade fireworks. She blew her head off and was killed, so,
NFL star lost his hand.
yeah. The newscaster,
Yeah.
lost his eye. So it's, please, everyone, be careful and considerate. Any other announcements?
I don't have an announcement, but I have something.
Councilwoman Horvath.
This is kind of directed to Building Director Mohammed Saab. A couple of weeks ago, my son came in, as you know, to get a permit for some work that I was going to have done, and there was a little fiasco. So I blew it off because I'm not making, because I'm a council person, there's nothing going to happen, and you took care of it, and so did Chrissy, and it was all taken care of. Since then, I've had 3 other calls, and I've spoken to Mohammed about this. People, homeowners who have rental property, someone comes in, and this is how I'm getting the complaint. Somebody misses a inspection. So they come in to make a new inspection, get a date, get a time, and
Reschedule.
whatever. Someone in your office is, and then they want to call and say, Mr. Renter, we want to, the department wants to come out on July the 18th at 10 a.m. Is that okay with you? Well, one of your people screams at these people that they can't use the phone at the counter, which I can understand that. But what do you want these people to do to get the time and the date situated and settled so they can communicate? You want them to go outside and then come back in and get in line again?
I think we had that conversation, Councilwoman, and I did offer
You are gonna get
a
some letters,
solution.
yes.
Okay. If I can get that help, I'd be able to do something, okay? Because if I hear she said, he said, with nothing solid, there's
Right.
nothing I can do about it, and I did discuss it with you. I've heard the same thing, and I'm not going to go into details. I've heard the same thing from 4 or 5 other people that called me and complained about that specific person. And I said, please put it in writing, tell me what happened, the time and the date. Because I cannot approach somebody who says, you said this, it's easy for them to deny. And I have not heard from anyone yet.
You will. Now, I have a question. When all of the inspectors are out, and I've heard this too, who's in charge of that office when you're all out of it?
Any of the 4 girls there.
Well, that's not good.
Well, the reason right now, any of the 4, because they all came in new. If you recall, I've had a lot of changes, and I don't have anybody to lead right now with the experience that I had with the previous ones.
Okay. Well, you will get some letters, but it's getting out of control, or is it out of control already?
Well, if there's about 4 or 5 people, okay, that did complain, I'm not gonna come and support somebody
Right.
in there, but is there 4 or 5, and if you come to our department during the day, I can guarantee you there is no less than 150 to 200 transactions. And if in the case there's about 500 to 600 a week, I'm not saying that's not happened, but if there's 4, sometimes, you know, people also trigger this situation. You know, under pressure, they would come in, and also, it happens to me, they would demand, if somebody out there, okay, an inspector missed, they'd come and, okay, we need to reschedule. Says, wait a minute, you have to pay a fee.
Right.
$25 fee, which is nothing. They're gonna make a big fuss out of it. And if you don't argue with them, you turn your back, well, you're not respecting them. But they want you to stand there face to face and argue. Now, it goes both ways, but I'm not saying that those incidents did not take place. But I'm saying at the same time, you know, there's two sides of each story.
My biggest concern, I would say, is to convey to the gals that work in there that if the customer has to make a phone call that has to do with the conversation you're having, let them make the phone call.
At the counter or step away from the counter?
Well,
no,
they can step away if they can get back up there when they're done.
Well, here's what happens sometimes, and you have, I mean, I'd like for any of the members out there to visit our office between 3:30 and 5 o'clock in the evening, or between 8 and 9 in the morning. You have a line that are standing right across the ordinance trying to get in. And if somebody's standing out there and we're trying to help, as a matter of fact, not only the 4 girls, I'm there, the other inspectors are there trying to move people, and I think we do have a pretty good reputation of moving things along and not taking our days and weeks to accomplish something. But if somebody up there in the counter and the phone rings and he's talking loud, they ask him, please, go back. Okay. Yeah. That doesn't mean that he can't come back. Nobody says go back to the end of the line. See, but
Well,
that's...
if someone has to make a call, here's my suggestion, okay? If someone has to make a call to their renter to coordinate some dates and times, they should be told, can you go outside or down the hall or wherever? But when you come back, come up here and we'll take care of you.
But see, okay, we have a sign sitting out there, okay, phone calls, okay,
Right.
should not, just like everywhere else, you go somewhere else, you go to a library, you go to any other place, it says no phone calls here. But people ignore that, and sometimes they want to call. It rings so loud, and they're talking right while standing there. Now, I don't think that's fair for the rest of them either. I mean, they should, okay.
Point is, this is my point. I'm talking to you, and you say, okay, we have to make a different date and time. And I say, okay, I got to check with my renter to see if they're available. Pull out my phone, and then I get screamed at, you can't use your phone at this counter. And that's what's happening.
I understand where you're coming from, and again, just like I told you on the phone, unless somebody tells me in writing this happened with such and such a person, such and such a day, at such and such a time, how can I approach that specific person to do so?
Let me ask you this. Can we start with a conversation with the girls first, or the people there?
We did that.
Okay, well, it's going to have to be reinforced again. That,
Okay.
you know, if somebody's going to use the phone, ask them to step away and come back to the counter when you've accomplished.
Councilman, okay, I don't want to go into details here. We're public.
I understand.
I have 4 girls. We have 4 inspectors. I think Councilwoman Horvath knows who I'm referring to. There's one specific person. I can't generalize because of one person. And at the same time, I said, if I don't have anything in writing to approach that person, to face that person, wait a minute, such and such a day, this person was here. As a matter of fact, I requested before you called, and I told you I requested from 3 other people. One of them was a real estate agent. And I said, please send me something so I can approach that person. Well, I don't want to cause anybody problems. Well, you want me to go bat for you and you don't want to write a note? I mean, is that fair enough? And at the same time, when you talked to me about that specific person, that was last week. Up to now, I haven't received anything.
Okay, you will. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Director. So
Mr. Chairman?
for employees,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I had one more thing.
Councilwoman Lisa
Thank you.
Clayton.
I serve on the Commission on Disability Concerns, and the question came up, and I'm sorry, Director Amon, we missed each other, but in the Community Development Block Grant budget, there was funding for the ADA bathroom update at Parkland Park. Do you have an update regarding that item?
We're not going ahead with it at this point.
We heard a lot of comments over here from a lot of elected officials that spending $250,000 for bathrooms was a lot. And so that's got to get reviewed. Is there a way to do it cheaper? But as I recall, the budget said $250,000. And if I'm misstating it, correct me otherwise, but I hear just about everybody at this table say we're spending $250,000 for bathrooms. What's going on? So that's why it was held.
I think when I said it, and I know I said it, I didn't know they were going to completely tear down the buildings and build a brand-new building. I thought they were just going to make a new stall or something. That's what I thought. I didn't know there was going to be a complete destruction of the building and then raise a new one. So that much I can say for myself when I said that, okay? The reason I think I brought it up a week or so ago, I stopped over at the recreational department and I called Mr. Amon, is that they're having a Crestwood school reunion down at Parkland Park. And when I met with the group, I said, well, wait a minute, we're supposed to have new bathrooms put up. We won't have any bathroom facilities. Let me check to see when that's going to happen. So that's when I called and found out that, and I said, I thought we approved the money for it. And lo and behold, now it's on hold, and nobody told us that it was on hold.
Well, we're waiting, Mr. Chairman, when you want to have a meeting, we'll get Recreation and the CDBG together. It's still on there, I think, as a line item, but it was very clear to us, don't spend any money on this till we review it, so.
I thought we approved it, though.
Director Amon, go ahead.
It's, Councilman, it's not just the building itself, too, it's ingress, egress problems.
Well, and I understand that. But originally, when they said the bathroom to make it ADA compliant, I thought they were going to put a ramp or put a new stall in somewhere, and that's what I questioned about the amount of money. I didn't know what the whole entitlement was for, taking down a building and rebuilding a building. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understood that in order to do the job according to but then it had to be demoed. There just wasn't enough room to.
Well, that should have also been spelled out, though. It's just saying we're going to make it ADA compliant. I mean, just like when you ask a question about what do we get for a service agreement, just because you got a service agreement, what goes in with it? I mean, it was vague at best. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Director Amon, thank you. Any other announcements? Clerk Persevich.
First of all, election is coming upon us very quickly. We have created a video, should be running on YouTube now. It will be a link to the Facebook page, soon to have a link at our clerk's office page, and it will be running on our cable channel at 12. These are both AM and PM times, 12, 2:30, 6, and 8:30. It's a 15-minute video. It's an informative video on voting in the upcoming election, registering, how you can register, your deadlines, how to get an absentee ballot, what to do when you come to the polls, what you can bring, and how to be prepared. So please take a look at it. I think it's informative. I think it'll be helpful. I think it will eliminate some difficulties if people pay attention and watch it and follow some of the advice. So take a look at it. And any comments, critiques, please call my office, 791-3432. Unfortunately, I regretfully have to talk about this at this time, and it's imperative that I inform our voters of what's going on. We have mailed out the ballots for precincts 13 through 27. That is State Representative Seat 13. Those were mailed out today. So be aware they're coming in your mailbox if you're a permanent absentee or have applied. And if you don't get it within the next 5 to 7 days, call us and you'll get a replacement ballot. For the precincts of 1 through 12, we have been put on hold. Wayne County has ordered us not to send ballots. We will be waiting for replacement ballots. I was on the phone today. It is not going to be a quick process. It appears that we will not get the ballots until after next week. So please be patient with your expectations of your absentee ballots. I assure you that the minute that we get them from the printer, we will be staffed and ready to go to stuff them and get them in the mail. So please at this difficult time, please understand what is going on, and please feel free to call us at 313-791-3432 should you desire any additional information. So we appreciate your cooperation in this matter, and everybody have a wonderful, safe 4th of July.
That was
Thank
well
you.
said. That was well said. I know you had to do it. I knew it was hard. Well said. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Recreation Director Greibel?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. At the last council meeting, I had briefly spoke about the success of the 2016 Spirit Festival and said I would get back and let you know what the financial figures were for the event. And as I mentioned at the time, I anticipated they were going to be very positive, and that has resulted. The profit for this year was $2,725.98. That was with losing most of Saturday night and delaying the opening on Sunday by 2 hours. So it's proved to be very successful. Now, we'll take it a step further and go back to talk about the rain on Saturday. I'm not sure you're all aware, but we have always taken out an insurance policy against rain for Saturday because that is our most highly revenue-producing day of the festival. If we were to lose the entire day, then it could be catastrophic in regards to the financial outcome of Spirit. Well, the rains didn't come until later, and we did end up with 0.31 inches of rain between the hours of 12 and 9, and we were insured for $10,000 at 0.25. So we will be collecting on our insurance. This is the second time that we've collected.
Very good.
So it is a tremendous safeguard, but it definitely puts Spirit this year as the most profitable Spirit to date.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Thank you, Director Greibel. Director McCafferty.
Well, Council Chair and Mayor, just want to talk about a couple of upcoming events at the library. First off, Friday, July 1st at John F. Kennedy Jr. Library at 3 p.m. We will be having Cupcake Wars. Decorate a cupcake and have a chance to win a prize. Supplies, including unfrosted cupcakes, will be provided by the library, and judging will be done by staff. Register in person or by calling 313-791-6050. Next Saturday, July 9th at 1 p.m. at John F. Kennedy Jr. Library. Join multi-talented Grace Alexander as she performs with up to 6 hula hoops, unlike any you have ever seen. Afterwards, she will coach people on how to imitate her feats. All are encouraged to come, no registration required. And finally, just a note, summer reading program has kicked off and begun with a flurry. So far, we have over 600 registrants, so come on out for our kid, teen, and adult summer reading program if you haven't already. That's all for now. Thank you for your time, and see you at the library.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilwoman Horvath?
I'd like to remind everybody, on July the 19th, we're going to have a study session here in the council chambers. Everyone is invited to discuss the dispatch situation. Originally, it was the 11th. They changed it to the 19th.
July 19th at 7 here in the council chambers.
Right.
It's not a regular council meeting night, so we'll have a presentation from the consultant and officer, our Dearborn Heights officer and a Dearborn officer.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Any other announcements? All right, any residents that have any concerns, if you step up, state the street you live on, your name.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Councilor. My name is Irene Drabarek. I live on 6950 Kronin. I have a question to Mr. Jack McCartney. I am a citizen, and I have a right to ask you about the ordinance. I came last week. From March, I have a situation with the light. My neighbor put commercial light blinding my house. You say I have the same light.
If you would, direct your comments to the council and
and Counselor, on a meeting, I watch TV, you, Counselor, say first the citizens should go to the city to ordinance and after came for the meeting. I went last week, Jack McCartney, he yelled on me like I'm coming every week, what is not true. But if I'm coming every week, it means you don't do your job.
Again, direct your comments to the council.
I am, like he say, I am sick and tired, be harassed, discriminate against. Why? Because I am a foreigner. My neighbor, chief of the police, how many times you came to my house? Because of the situation. He called me names. F Polak, F bitch. I can maintain my grass. If I cut the grass, he accused me of scratching the car. I am tired. When my voice be healed, when I have to go. I live in this house 19 years. I don't have a problem. Since Mr. Mandel moved a start, I'm asking you, Chief the Police, what he wants from me.
It's clear the light system.
We've been out there numerous times. We've been dealing with this neighbor issue for the last 5, 7 years.
It's not neighbors.
One at a time.
It's a neighbor issue.
Please.
And we get responded out there. You know, he does stuff to aggravate you. You put the sprinkler on, so it goes into his cars while the windows are down. It's going back and forth. We come out, we write reports, and that's the best we can do. The ordinance, they've been out there in regards to the fence. I can let Jack address that. But we go back, and it's a neighbor trouble. You do something to upset him, he does something to upset you, and it keeps going back and forth. And we've been going out there for 5, 6, 7 years now.
Don't want to resolve this problem. I am a citizen. I love to live in my house peacefully.
Well, direct your comments to the council. We'll Director McIntyre?
A neighbor. Yeah, just to clarify, when Miss Irene came in last week, I wasn't yelling at her. She brings another neighbor in who is very aggressive. He storms into the mayor's office and sits down and refuses to leave, even though the mayor's not there to meet with him. And so I did answer your questions. I told you that Thursday and Saturday of that previous week on my own time, I went out there one night at 11:10 and another night at 1:15 in the morning on my own time because I wanted to see for myself. And I told you I was going to do that.
You tell me this is not the ordinance problem. I should hire a lawyer and make a civil suit.
No, what I
ordinance is 40 or 50 watts, not 150.
What,
Go ahead, Director McIntyre.
Chair, what I said was some of these issues are civil matters between both neighbors. I did say that, and that at some point it may make sense for either one of them to retain an attorney because it sounds like some of these things might have to be resolved in court. But I can only speak to what I'm doing in terms of resolving the light issue. Every time Miss Irene has come to me, we've responded to it. When she's made claims that there isn't permits, we followed through to make sure that the neighbor's gotten permits for work that he's done on the property. What I did say last time is I don't have a loom tester available. I am going to borrow one from a colleague of mine in Allen Park. And I'm going to go back out there at night and I'm going to do a loom test. That's why I left it with her last week. I felt like we've done everything we could at this point to try to help her in this situation. I only asked the gentleman that continues to come with her to please leave City Hall. He's very disruptive, he's loud, he frightens people, and he refuses to
Mr. Chair?
To conduct himself appropriately.
One at a time, please. Go
Mr.
ahead,
Chair.
Councilman Berry.
So, forgive me for interrupting, but Jack, so when will you get this loom tester?
Hopefully next Tuesday.
Okay, so approximately when do you think you can go out there and test this?
Well, again, I'm going to be doing this in the middle of the night or once it goes dark. So It won't be next Tuesday, but hopefully next Wednesday night or Thursday night, depending on if I'm babysitting my grandson either of those nights. I'm not taking him out to do it.
Are
so.
you okay with that answer, if he gets a loom tester?
Don't take Eckstein to see the picture. This is a commercial light.
I understand that, but let me share this with you, okay?
And he is not lighting the light during Monday to Thursday.
Okay.
Whatever he please, he is turning the light, torching my bedroom, my guest room, my bathroom.
Let's see that, okay? Let's see that. Once he's able to test those looms, and I'm sure what you're saying is right, but if he doesn't have it in his hand showing that it exceeds it, there isn't anything we can do about it. But he's going to make the effort to do it. The only thing I ask is please for him, your neighbor that would come in and wants to help you with this, give Jack an opportunity before you come back in, please.
And this is what he is telling. Last Tuesday, he told me, I'm sick and tired you come every week. This is not true.
Look, he may be sick and tired of it, and you're sick and tired of it. So where you're at with this and what needs to be done are at two different subjects. I'd really like to get it resolved for you. I'm sure because you're here, you're sick and tired.
So you can see.
I see.
What is my light?
If there's an ordinance violation, the ordinance officer has to take care of it. Now, what we might do is, I don't know if the police department still does this, they refer people to Wayne Mediation Center. You go in, you talk about it, they come to a written agreement, there's no charge.
Well, let's get the looms checked here first.
If there's no ordinance violation.
This has been going on for so long that
for 7 years.
5 years ago, I got involved in this, and she called me. This has been going on too long. That one of them needs an attorney, or they both need an attorney. That's the answer. Now, the other question I have for the lady is this a sensor light, or is it something that he turns on and turns off?
It's not the motion light.
It's not.
No.
It's a motion light.
It's a motion. Yeah. It's not.
Jack says it's a motion light.
It's in the picture she provided you. It's a motion light.
But the motion is not working.
So let the ordinance officer do his job, see if there's a violation.
Do you like to have a neighbor who is blinding you rooms?
No.
Your windows?
No.
Even my blinds is closed. And I can't sleep.
Right, but I don't know that we're going to be able to settle it here.
Why he don't take the picture down? What is wrong? This is against the ordinance.
That's the ordinance officer has to investigate and check.
Mr.
Councilman
Chair,
Musket?
it could be a motion light, but you could override motion detectors and make them stay on. Well, I know that. There's a switch on.
Yeah, you can.
There's a switch on them that you can keep them on, okay?
You don't know if that's
one.
I understand.
Number two,
I have them, but
and I agree with Marge. This has been and I got involved in, matter of fact, there was a little disrespect to Councilwoman Horvath here when I wasn't a council person standing over there over a fence issue with these two people. And I think that I went to Mr. McIntyre with this problem a few times, and he's doing what he can do. And I also gave him part numbers from Granger to purchase a lumen meter. I can't believe our city doesn't have these things. Go from $120 to $330. See, he's got one there. You can get it out of building department, but his department should have one. It's an ordinance thing. $125. You got a meter. They're worth having. It's not $125 is nothing, okay? Heck, I was gonna go buy it for him one day because I was kind of getting upset over this issue about this light. He's got pictures. He's went out there, and I know he's gone out there and seen this because he's got a picture of it at his desk. So I know he's gone out there and has tried, but we don't know if any hanky-panky's being done with the lights being moved to shine on a house or anything like that. And that's what might be the problem. He goes out there and readjusts them.
Can I ask?
I don't know.
What is his purpose on a side to have a light like this?
Three things. Number one, the ordinance department has been out there. They'll be out there again to see if there's an ordinance violation. Number two, I vaguely remember there's been other issues with your neighbor. And number three, if people can't think that, well, if they have a problem with a department or anything, they'll come in and yell at that person directly at the council meeting. So He's gone out there, he'll go out there again. And I suggested the Wayne Mediation Center because it's free. They bring everybody in, they come to a written agreement. It's less expensive than going to court, but
Well, hopefully we can resolve it without going to court.
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
And Mr. Chair,
Absolutely.
let me ask, I guess that this could go to corporate counsel. I mean, couldn't you request this person, say, the ordinance department call them up, say, hey, look, we're going to be out at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock when it gets dark. We want you to turn that light on. We want to measure lumens on this.
Well, it would probably make more sense not to do so that there would not end up being any sort of attempt to comply. And, you know, although
I mean,
the
he's
person
gonna have to
probably will know because of everything being stated.
He's going to
in
have to
city
replace
council.
that light. We have a picture of the light. He'd have to replace the light fixture.
Right, but basically the point is that these things are a lot of times best spoken about outside of a public forum so that investigations can end up being undertaken. The investigation ends up being done, it confirms that there's an ordinance violation. At that point, a ticket ends up being issued with respect to this, if there is a violation. If there's not a violation, then her recourse and the other people's recourse is to deal with civil attorneys, because just because something is not a violation of our ordinances does not necessarily mean it's not a nuisance that's being created that would lead to civil liability.
Can I just say this real quick?
Absolutely.
I went out there very discreetly. I parked around the corner because I didn't want to be seen by anybody. I went in my own personal vehicle because I didn't want anybody to turn the light off when I was getting close to it. I wanted to actually see it for myself. The other thing I want to clarify is when I've known Miss Irene for 3 years. She came in 3 years ago, sat down in my office. She was trying to throw a birthday party, I believe, for her granddaughter, and there was some disruption then. So I've been trying to work with her, and I've tried to be as respectful with her as possible, just because that's my nature. What I said last week was, I'm not sick and tired of Miss Irene. This person that comes in with her is so disruptive that I had to ask the police department to assist. I understand what she's going through, and I'm trying. I have to see it in order to write a violation on it. Unfortunately, I just can't go on somebody's word. And so I did those things. I went out on my own time. 1:15 in the morning, I'm crawling down Cronin Street discreetly, trying to see if I see this light shining in her window. So I'm on your side. I just don't want to speak to you when that gentleman is screaming in my ear. That's not necessary, so.
Thank you. Thank you, Director McIntyre. Anyone else? You have to come up to the podium, state your name and your address or your street number.
My name is Ed Froelich. I live on Robindale. I want to thank City Council Dave Abdullah for coming out about 3 weeks ago and addressing the issue that I brought up about the water and everything else, because the city came and put the gravel down, about 6, 7 trucks. But my concern is still about the grass on the side of my thing, okay? I went to the ordinance department and I talked to Jack and I told him I've been already over a month and the grass hasn't been cut by the thing over there. And he says he'll call somebody from animal control and get somebody over there. The animal control guy came over there. I talked to him. He asked me who's, because it was a landscaping company that came and cut the grass that day. And I remember the name of the company was A&L Landscaping Company. And he asked me, where are they? And I told him they're on Robindale cutting grass over there near Richardson, okay? No, near Haas. Okay, anyway, he went that way. He came back and he asked me who owns that vacant lot. And I says, well, Dearborn Heights Bakery Department, Bakery on Warren owns that, I was told, owns that empty lot. So he went over there, he brought the lady, the animal control guy, brought the lady over there, showed her, and she says to him, because I overheard, I was sitting on a porch, I don't have a building on here, so why should I have to pay him, to cut the grass? Okay, there's an ordinance that anybody that's got a building on the Warren, that it's their property. Anything on this side of on this side of the fence is the buildings that are there, okay? They're supposed to take care of that stuff, okay? And if they don't take care of it, and I'm getting tired of running back and forth, and I could see where she's coming from, okay? And I want it taken care of, okay? And I shouldn't have to run back and forth and complain. And if the lady doesn't want to pay the guy, fine her, okay? That way, when you throw a ticket at her and she has to pay the fine, she'll take care of it, 1, 2, 3, because I sure the heck wouldn't want to pay $100 out of my pocket.
You said Dearborn Heights Bakery Department. I'm sure that's
no,
not...
Dearborn Heights Bakery. Okay, it's on Warren Avenue.
Well, thank Councilman Abdullah, and I'm sure ordinance is
So
aware
when
of
is
the problem.
my grass going to get cut? I mean, the grass is going to get cut there.
You're talking about the property, not next to, this is on Warren Avenue, because he's the first house off of Warren Avenue.
Yeah,
By the old leader,
where
leader
where
printing.
the vinyl fence is of mine, that alley part is not cut at all, okay? They cut the empty lot, but they don't cut that other
So you're
part.
talking about the grass that's between the alley and your fence?
Right, there you go.
Okay.
But did you call ordinance and...
I went to the ordinance, I told you, okay? And that
They'll be out there.
Huh?
They'll be out there. They'll be out there and...
Yeah, but when
Mr.
it's
Chair.
cut, I'm going to wait 2, 3 months before...
You have to ask the homeowner that.
What do you mean ask the homeowner?
Or the property owner, I'm sorry.
No, that's where my point is. If I don't have to wait till 2, 3 months before the homeowner decides, well, I'm going to cut it now, okay? In other words, that wheat's going to grow that high, and before the owner is going to say,
Mr. Chair?
you got to enforce the ordinance, okay? You got ordinance to think, and I know you do have an ordinance on that, okay? And you're not enforcing it, okay? If you're not enforcing it,
please. Let's let our ordinance director.
So he came in, and he's referring to the grass that runs alongside the wall, or the fence that is adjacent to the alleyway of the business.
Right.
So we had to verify whether or not that's his property. In some cases, even though there's a fence there, it could actually be his own property right there. So we had to verify that. Once we verify who it is, then we'd send a violation to that property owner, giving them 7 days to cut it, or we'll send a contractor out there to remove it, so.
So it will be taken care of?
Yes, sir, I explained that to you, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
His perspective, I mean, I looked at his yard. He's got probably one of the most beautiful rose gardens I've seen since I've been in the business. So I can see why he's so particular about this type of stuff.
I watch you walk up and down Warren, picking up all the trash on the
That's
property.
what I
It's
say,
on
I
Warren,
need to be
too.
taken care of, because I walk down Warren Avenue, I pick up all the trash that people throw and everything else, because I take pride in my city, okay?
Mhm.
And I just hope all
I
the
watch you.
other
I see you.
residents would take pride in their city
right.
too, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone? Dearborn Heights Watershed Stewards Co-Chair Steve Roberts.
Well, I'm just coming up as Steve Roberts. Good evening, everybody. I came to complain about still people walking in the street, and why did we have sidewalks put in if people are not going to be using it? Number two, why do people stand in the middle of the street talking to people in other people's cars, and they're standing in the street? Is that legal? I don't know.
They're impeding traffic, it's not.
All right, then people leaving their car doors open in the street.
Oh, yeah.
That's happening too often.
What street are we talking about that?
Well, my street, Penny, but it's been happening all over because I've been seeing it as I drive around. And those are the three things I would like to have answered. What can we do about them? Because I remember back when the streets were paved, we all had to have the sidewalks put in for the people would not walk on the street. Why is that not being enforced? I do not know. But that was 48 years ago, I think. I could be wrong on the years. Mayor might know.
Well, I will tell you, I had a couple residents told me, and that was a little bit it was on the other side of Telegraph, but a couple young women told me that they had moved from a local community into Dearborn Heights, but they were taught by their parents to, as young girls, to walk in the street rather than the sidewalks because of situations that had developed in the community that they came from. And I know that I told them, no, it's safe here, you need to walk in the sidewalks, you're actually more at risk. But I had never heard before they brought that up to me that they said other women were taught, young girls, when they walked to school and other, to use the street because it was safer than to be at the sidewalks. But that also is a community that has a lot of abandoned homes, and the young ladies were more at risk. But I'm not justifying it, but I did have, because I brought it to their attention, why are you walking in the middle of the street? You know, you're impeding the traffic, use the sidewalks, and that's what they relayed to me.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's getting to be to where more people are walking in the street than on the sidewalks, and they don't want to get out of your way.
Okay.
But if we hit them, we get charged for hitting them because they don't move out of our way. And as what one person said, she had to go around the block to get to her house because people were in the street. What can you guys do about it?
We'll keep the patrols up and enforce the traffic laws.
But that's happening throughout the city.
Okay. Thanks for letting us know.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Good evening, everybody. You look younger and younger every time. Anyway, I just have a couple of questions. The first one, I just want to know if the city hired anybody to do the negotiation for the contracts.
The
Did
city.
we hire anybody who is basically on the payroll of the city, who's doing negotiation on our behalf?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I'll let the mayor's office answer that, but we have attorneys that we've hired to do the negotiations.
So which firm is that?
Mayor?
We use ACHO. We have 2 labor attorneys that work. Negotiations are my responsibility per the charter, and so I pick who comes, who doesn't, but we've used attorneys that are subcontracted through our city attorney.
Thank you. A second subject is about the dispatch issue. I did go to the town hall meeting at the library, and I would have loved to see you, Mayor, there, really. Because it's a very important issue to the whole city. It's not just one person on the city council or the mayor. It's our responsibility collectively. I know that at least 3 cities voted this issue down already. And I know for a fact that the City Council of Dearborn hasn't received anything officially from the administration about terms, condition, who's coming in, who's not coming in for this dispatch, contract. I just want to address you, Mayor. We trusted you, the city trusted you for over 30 years. I hope you trust us too. You trust the residents of this city. We want to keep our dispatch. When my mom had her stroke and we called, we were so happy and so thrilled to see our dispatch, our firefighters, our EMS coming in to serve. They done a terrific job, and I hate to see this is given to another city or another department or another person. I like to keep it in Dearborn Heights because our lives, our residents are more important than $240,000 saving a year. I will walk with you door to door. I will have the group who worked with me on the bond for the schools to get you the money which you need to upgrade this department. My understanding, it's $1.5 million, if not mistaken. I might be wrong, but that's the figure I was given. It doesn't cost some homes more than $20, some homes maybe $200. It's one-time shot. I think our residents are very generous. They have given the city the Hadley override to get the city out of the debts. And we promised them to keep the police and the EMS in place. We need to keep that promise. And again, the $1.5 million is nothing compared to $35 million they just approved for the schools. I think, again, our citizens are very generous, very trusty, very good people, and most of them lived for a lifetime in this city. And again, I will be with you, and lots of people will be with you to keep this dispatch and no matter what the cost, and I hope you take that to heart.
Councilwoman Horvath reminded everyone that we're having a meeting on July 19th at 7 here for some more information on
We'll be here, but again, this is something very dear to me, very personal. And again, I will work with you, Mayor, on it because it's going to benefit the whole city. And my history with Dearborn, I hate to see a project which is good to go bad. They just have not good track record on every contract, on every project they done. So let's keep it in-house. Let's keep it with our residents. We might need little training for our dispatchers. Some of them people complain about their attitude. Maybe little training will help that situation. But please, let's keep it in-house.
Yeah, if I might, through the chair, happy about some of the comments you made. I feel as the chief administrator that it's important for me to bring options, and the city of Dearborn Heights has not entered into an agreement. All we did was we said we will look at, the attorney wrote the letter, but it was a non-binding letter that we would look at. There is, and I was happy that you recognized there's significant cost. I don't know exactly, but there was a lot of misinformation presented and is out in the neighborhoods, and the meeting that Councilwoman Horvath mentioned will be an opportunity to get this out. There is currently, we have to replace the equipment under the agreement because this particular city is so odd shaped that you have to have numerous towers. As odd as it seemed, but before we entered in with the state police contract, when broadcasting from the Westland Tower on Ford Road, a lot of our officers, both police and fire, if they had a call in Home Depot, which was right next to the police department, they couldn't communicate. There was dead zones. The other problem that there was dead zones was over by Southfield and Van Born. So when we went to the state police system, those dead zones were eliminated. So it's extremely important that we have coverage not only within the boundaries of the city, but also a little bit outside for when police and fire, mutual aid, and other circumstances. I say that because we're confined with the Michigan State contract to use Motorola. And so Motorola, approximately every 7 years, you have to buy new equipment. And so we know that in the next couple of years, we're going to have to buy new equipment. So I felt that it was important when the city of Dearborn contacted us and said, would you be interested in going in with a shared service? I think we have an obligation to our taxpayers to look at those. If it's decided by the community and they are willing to incur if there's additional costs, because I think the system would probably be around $1.7 million, that's a decision if the public makes. That's fine, but that is going to be, there'll be a cost associated with it, and I'm glad you recognize that. But if I heard of other solutions, I feel always an obligation to give to the council and the public those alternatives so that it allows us to compare and look at the advantages and disadvantages. So keep an open mind, and no decision's been made, and we'll get the input at the meeting. So I'm open-minded on it. I haven't closed my mind to anything, but I will tell you that there would be an additional cost, and you recognized it by keeping our own dispatch. And if the public was willing, that's a service that they feel strongly about and were willing to pay for, I'm not going to sit there and not do it. I don't think any of us would.
I do believe our citizens are very generous community. You yourself contributed to the schools. You put signs, you helped probably, I'm sure you voted for it too. And I'm sure that this city are very good people. It's bad community. They want everything to be in-house. And I don't believe that they will deny the 1.7 million, because if you divide it, and you and I know numbers, if you divide it by person, it's $15 to $20 per person, which is really nothing for the convenience and the safety of our people.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're not going to settle the issue tonight, but thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Charles Cosgrove, and I'm here trying to get some scoop on the vacating of an alleyway for the VFW post 78, the James Donovan post up on Van Born. Right. And I wonder if you have to put that in the news media for a certain amount of time.
There's a procedure.
Yeah, a couple of members of the Post came. I don't remember all the details, but they're looking to sell some of the property, and they discovered that on one side of the street where they allow some parking, that part of it was vacated, some of it was not. So I'm pretty sure I took them over to the building department so that I told them they need to, or if they simply sent a letter to me requesting a vacation of that alley, we would start the process. And then that would require a public hearing. The residents in the area would be notified, adjacent property owners, and then they would have a right to inform the council. Only the city council could vacate that alley, and we haven't done these in a while, but they were very popular when Joe and I served early in our careers. And March, I think you've gone through them. And so you go through, you hear the pros and cons. The problem with vacating an alley generally is it's not revocable. So once you vacate this property, it's vacated forever and ever. So it was always the policy of the council, unless one person owned all the property around it, we generally didn't approve those, because we had a lot of people who wanted to vacate alleys, for instance, and maybe this business didn't need the alley, but you don't know 25, 30 years from now what a property may turn into, and that person may need the alley, and we wouldn't be able to convert it back. But those are issues that would come up. But what will start the process is either a petition or if they give me a letter, we'll get the proper, we'll find out how to go through it.
I think our commander wrote you a letter or hand-delivered it, as I understand.
Okay, then it must be in my office.
The thing is, we've had 18-wheelers come on our property, which is blacktopped. So as the parcel that we're thinking about selling, And these 18-wheelers come in and they go through there, and as they turn all them wheels of them trailers and so on, it tears up our parking lot.
Yep.
So that's why we want to vacate it, and that way the whoever wants to buy it or whoever winds up with it, if they want to build, they can build back on the, have parking on both ends of the property, or at least the back side and the Janet Street side on it. This is east of Janet and between Van Born and the creek.
Okay, I will, it may be that my secretary Stephanie has already started the process, but I'll check first thing in the morning for you,
Well,
but
very good.
thank you.
You've got, I think you got the commander's telephone number. If not,
I
can give you
do,
mine.
I do, all of you guys. You're the best.
sir. Thank
You're the best.
Anyone else?
Move to adjourn.
Support. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.